Councilman Sachsenhammer?
Here.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Here.
Councilman Jackson?
Here.
Councilman Evans?
Here.
Councilwoman Campbell?
Here.
Councilwoman Bayard?
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, so, old business. Oh, sorry, can I have approval of the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Resolution number 24-49, resolution for the city of Normandy adopting fiscal year ending in September 30th, 2025, operating and capital budget. Let's see. Sam, you wanna start?
Yeah, there are no changes between now and Friday. It's the same budget. Just kind of wanted to go over real quick a couple things that we've got on hold because of the delay. We had to push back the installation of the cameras at Holzell Park and the security system. Obviously the demolitions in the village of Glen Echo Park are on hold right now until we have funding. And in addition to that, I mean, some of the vehicles in the fleet for both Public Works and Police Department on hold, and so we're gonna be using some of the older vehicles for longer that can, depending on how long it goes, that can drive up vehicle maintenance costs. And yeah, we just got, and all the other capital projects are on hold right now, so. But yeah, that's all I have.
Any questions?
So everybody still gets paid, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions or amendments that anybody wants to maybe make?
I mean, it's balanced, so we can rock with that. Let's go.
I'm good for now. We can always do,
You good?
adjustments later on as projects come up.
Let's just do a straw poll.
Yes, sir. I make a motion to approve.
Hold on, Kevin has a question.
Kevin has.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, we playing with the numbers.
What page you on, Kev?
I'm just,
Just
just
looking.
going off some things, yeah. Yeah, we balance, so basically, we're not gonna have any amendments this year, right? We should be able to go with this budget all the way through without revisiting it, right?
I definitely can't promise that. I mean, that would be the ideal, but I mean, if there's a project that comes up that the council wants to do right away that we need to make an appropriation for, or if there's an overrun in, say, the litigation budget or something like that, I'm not expecting that, but it could very well happen. And it's pretty rare to find a city that doesn't have at least one budget amendment in a budget year.
So we still basically teeter-tottering on, a balanced budget.
Not necessarily.
No, well, so, these are projections, so like, in some cases, like, one of the problems that we had last year was that what was the CBDG, or which one, what fund didn't come in from the county?
CBG.
Was
Yeah.
that it?
That was-
So, that affected what we could and couldn't do, but that didn't have anything to do with us, that had to do with the county releasing the money and everything, so.
But basically, I mean, I think a good way to look at it is you're telling us that we can spend this amount of money and we can't spend more than that. We want to spend more than that, then we have to come back and get specific approval
Right.
through a budget amendment through you guys, so.
So this is the cap that we're.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to look at which fund we're taking the money from. Some of the funds have money in them that, as long, I mean, like the capital improvement fund has little, if we had a little project that we wanted to do, buy a piece of software or anything like that, we'd still have money. Well, it won't really affect the general fund balance, because those are restricted funds anyway.
And all of these projects we've saved for.
We still got potholes. we still have streets that's
We still have
need to
what?
be working, potholes, we still have streets that need to be addressed. And we just, I mean, we don't have anything for the community to help the community out. It's like we're just basically just throwing numbers out there, robbing Peter to pay Paul. And,
I don't think
Well,
think that's the case. So
that's
we
an
have,
opinion, that's an
yeah,
opinion.
that's not the case. So we have money for potholes that
They're
we,
not getting done.
or not potholes. We have money for speed humps that are desperately needed in the first and the second ward, so we've already set money aside for that. We have the sign that people have been asking for, so that communication in the community could be better, so we have money for that we've set aside, the message board. We have, money set aside for natural bridge improvements, which is, you know, the concrete that's at the circle that we set money aside for, Parkchester Park with the lights. These are not things that we're going into the general fund to pay for. These are things that are coming out of, you know, the stormwater funds, the park and stormwater funds, the capital improvement funds, and that's what the money is set aside for, so that's what we're using it for. And so, and when we hear people stand up and say, like, one of the things that people have said that they want is a receptionist. We have saved so that we can have a part-time receptionist, so we can have better communication in the community. And so I think we've done a good job of listening to people and making sure that we're putting money in places where they've actually said that they wanted to see it.
What about
So-
the AI? Go ahead, Tom.
So what about the potholes? Is that money?
I'll say for street projects,
Yeah,
I mean, there's the normal, just kind of like pothole mix line item in Public Works.
okay.
And for street projects between, the unallocated balance in the street improvement fund, that's about 250,000, about 100,000 in CDBG grants, and then the rest coming from capital improvement, we have $500,000 in
So we
street.
have money for potholes.
We have $500,000 for, you know, major street projects
In that,
in this year,
in this year.
right?
So what about potholes? Because
Pot-
they're gonna come up.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, there, like I said, there are potholes budgeted
That's part of it.
So
as part of
that's
the
part
cycle
of
Public
it?
Works.
Yeah, okay, you
Yeah.
answered my question then, so that's part of coming out that fund, right?
Yeah, and we
Okay.
just bought, like, what, half a pallet at fiscal year end?
We're halfway through it already.
Okay.
So you're halfway through the mix already?
We bought about a half pallet at fiscal year end. So
But
we
even-
stocked up
Yeah.
at the end of the fiscal year, and then we have money to buy more this year,
We have, okay.
with this budget.
But even with that, it's not gonna come out the general fund, it's not gonna.
Well, the pothole mix would, because that's just like
Okay.
basic maintenance.
What about Project AI, that's put on hold?
It's on hold right now, it's in the budget, so if the budget passes, then it would be approved.
Are you,
Oh, well.
are
we
you
don't-
talking
we-
about the police, AI?
What other AI?
I thought that was taken out.
Right.
Nobody ever made a motion.
Well, I make a
Yeah,
motion
yeah.
that it's removed
Yeah,
from
we don't
the
do that,
budget.
yeah. I mean, you know, we still just throwing,
Yeah,
that's okay. No,
I'll make a
So
motion.
what page, can you reference the page?
What page is that, kid?
I saw it earlier, I was looking over
Cause, you know, that's
it. No, we just,
one thing we don't need right now.
not even.
Was this,
Yeah, I seen this somewhere, man, but it's still, but if it passes, they're saying if it passes, then it's in the budget, so.
Well, I just made a motion,
We just-
somebody needs, I just made a
Second.
motion to, okay.
So
there's a motion and a second on the floor.
Wait, before we-
Sorry, go ahead.
the AI software is is 16,000?
Yeah, just so everyone understands, it's a report writing software for police that uses AI. It was requested by the police department. It was going to be funded out of the capital improvement fund, current revenue, so that's the capital improvement sales tax, and it's $16,000 for 2 years, for a 2-year license.
And that's from a restricted fund.
It's from a restricted fund. So now, if it's stricken, then that would just go, and it would,
44.
we could use that $16,000 next year for a capital improvement project.
So we can use that 16,000 next year.
Yeah, or you could reallocate it.
And I don't have, I haven't looked at the fund, but, how much total do we have in capital improvement fund and how much have we allocated for this year? What page is that on? I know it's in here somewhere.
Yeah. Find that.
44.
Is the project,
So,
and then page,
if you just wanna see like this year's budget on page 16, you can look at this year's budget. If you look on page,
I'm just looking at the projected over
23, you can see the 5-year.
5 years.
Yeah, 23 is the 5-year projected fund balance for capital improvement.
Oh, I see.
So that's at the bottom line on page 23.
it's after this.
For the floor, we're not talking about.
So even if the budget passes as it's written, we're anticipating a fund balance in the capital improvement fund of $45,329, right? That's $329 that's available to be spent, but it's not going to be spent in this budget. Is that right?
Right, yes, unappropriated. And at the end of 2029, with all the projected projects, we're looking at ending at 38,000. So we're not gonna go negative,
Right.
at least in budget.
So and that's at the end of 2029, so there's gonna be balances in that fund over time, and it builds, I mean, it's a capital improvement, right?
Yeah, I'll say, so, my personal opinion, report writing software is great. You could always throw more in the streets, I mean, in street resurfacing. Like,
Mhm.
I think that's totally reasonable, but at the same time, it's ultimately your guys' decision, right? You gotta balance the different requests.
Well,
Because-
AIs, I'd rather see them work out the bugs, instead of jumping in the first or second year. We can use that money for something else next year, as far as streets.
Yeah.
Alright, so we got a motion on the floor. Who was the second?
That was Councilman Jackson.
Do you have a question?
Is it to amend, is this?
So it's to eliminate, to remove the AI
And
now.
to amend the budget by removing the
Yeah.
AI system as a capital project.
Alright, let's go for the vote.
Can I ask a question before we do
Oh,
that?
yeah.
And the $16,000 will go where?
Well,
Back into the general fund?
Come from, or?
it would
There
just,
you go.
it would just stay in the capital improvement fund.
Gotcha.
Unless you guys move it somewhere else, but my understanding of the motion right now, it would just stay in the capital improvement fund.
Okay.
It could be reallocated later or just saved for a project next year.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can always use for streets too, right?
Right,
But
Okay, gotcha.
or any capital expense.
Right.
And if you look at page, where's the page? The intro, Sam.
In the capital improvement fund?
Yeah.
22. Or sorry, capital improvement plan, 5 years.
No, the description, on page 2.
Oh, oh,
So if you look at page 5, it has like every fund that's, where funds are coming from, and it tells you what that fund is specifically
is it
dedicated
page
for.
5?
Yeah. There.
Oh, I was looking for the graph. Okay.
You wanna go for the vote? Kim?
You just need to ask an all in favor
Oh.
or opposed.
All in favor? So this is to remove the AI software from the budget. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Ayes have it. Any other amendments
Yeah, I know this is not in the budget, but we did talk about that armored vehicle.
That's not in the budget.
Okay, I know
They
it's not
can't-
in the
they can't.
budget, but that's scratch, right?
Yeah, that's,
Okay, I just don't wanna see an armored vehicle driving down the street next month.
we already, we did that.
To, yes, to clarify, so with the way that resolution worked, if they wanted to get an armored vehicle, they would have to come and request that specifically.
Mm-hmm.
We should-
So you guys authorize the program, if they want the armored vehicle, they would need to come with a proposal and make
And
the case, and
pictures.
then you guys would vote on that separately.
Just making sure that we did vote on at the last meeting that will be stricken off that list.
And that list was basically stuff that didn't need, it was like a pre-approval list.
Okay,
So now that that's off that list, they would have to come and you guys would have to approve
Okay.
it specifically.
just making sure.
Okay, so how are we gonna maintain a balanced budget when, okay, I guess everybody got a raise, correct? Everybody? I'm just saying, in general, all employees got a raise, or was it specific employees got a raise?
So there was not a cost of living adjustment this year. However, with the pay plan that was passed last year, there were merit raises ranging from 1% to 3%.
According to the,
I mean, and that's another thing, how are we gonna manage this city with a pay plan that we barely meet budget every year without amending it? I mean,
The pay plan the pay plan with a merit raise is very, very minuscule.
I understand that, but it's still, we were giving raises out from the ARPA fund, which we shouldn't have been doing. Pay increases off a fund that was gonna eventually end.
No, the ARPA funds can be, and probably were, I wasn't here at the time, I know
Yeah.
what we did with ours.
Yeah,
You can convert that money into the general fund.
okay,
You have to have it, because there were new rules toward the end of that. At first, the first tranche of money that came from the CARES Act, did certain things, ARPA did other things. So that money was a one-time, kind of a lift for the city to make sure that they could meet the needs. But it's, that ARPA money, they've used it for all kinds of stuff, but if they put it into the general fund, that was a legitimate use of it.
Yeah, nobody's saying it's not legitimate, it's just that we
So what's the
were,
Without
we
the
were
ARPA
making
fund-
payroll with the ARPA.
with the ARPA fund.
Not
If we,
ARPA,
without the
right.
ARPA fund, you mean that we couldn't make payroll without the ARPA fund?
I
We
don't
couldn't
know,
give
I wasn't
raises
ever-
without the
I
ARPA
wasn't
fund?
But that's
No, I'm
not-
saying,
Yeah,
I'm asking my question.
No, that's not true. We would have still made payroll without the ARPA. Okay, okay.
Yeah, I would say, I believe you're talking about the 2021 raises that were given, right, in the police department, which have been since more or less wiped out by inflation. Because it was like 13% at the time, and over the course of 3 years, I think we're about 13% inflation. So we're about back where we started. As far as this budget, for personnel expense across the entire city, all departments, including the 10% health insurance increase that we had, which is council decided to stay the employee increases, it's a 2.7% increase on personnel expense. So it's not a huge jump in personnel expense from last year. It's very modest, actually. So, and especially when if we had enough money to fund the COLA, it would have been about 3.5%. Would have been the cost of living adjustment this year based on inflation. So, in terms of inflation, everyone's kind of taking a pay cut.
Yeah. So,
that's a smooth way to put it.
So-
Sam.
I mean,
That's what they tell me.
I know, that's a smooth way to
I
put
mean,
it.
but we're following, we have a pay plan for a reason, and we're following that pay plan because we did have problems in the past with people coming back and asking for more raises, but that wasn't established yet. So, the pay plan is what and they only got a merit raise, like I said.
How we gonna maintain that in the next few years if we barely making budget now? How are we gonna maintain that?
I wouldn't say that we're barely making budget now, but, Sam, what's the reserve?
Yeah, we are, you
What's the,
are.
re-
We
what's
got,
the
we got
reserve?
we
I
got
see- I
amendments.
see
We got
Kevin.
two amendments.
I don't
See,
wanna
down
talk
there,
over,
there you
I
go.
don't wanna,
There you
I
go.
don't, talking over each,
Alright.
I don't wanna
Go
talking
ahead.
over each
Go
other,
ahead.
okay? And clearly, this is a hot button topic, so what I would like to do is everybody to take their turn. I'm not trying to yell over you, please do not try to yell
Let's
over
vote.
me. So let's just take one person at a time, okay? We've gone through this for almost 8 weeks.
Okay, let's vote then.
So let's
Because,
just take
you
it
know,
one day.
let's
No,
vote.
clearly,
That was rude.
clearly, there are questions that we have, that you have, that need to be answered. So Sam,
That was
how
very
much is
rude.
in the reserve
Let's vote. Let's vote.
Uh,
at the end of this?
at the end of, 1,474,000.
And what does the reserve actually mean? Can you tell us the definition of a reserve?
It's basically unappropriated, unrestricted funds.
What can we use the reserve for?
Anything you guys want to.
Does that mean that we
So are
are,
you including
wait,
the
I'm
money
still-
for,
wait,
for the
please.
sale?
so does that mean that if we get into a bind, we can pull from that money?
Yes, I will say, to Councilman Evans' point, even though it was out of order, but yes, that does include the cell tower fund, right?
But you need a special vote, right?
Well, we repealed that due to the Simmons litigation,
So we don't know if
But-
we get that anyway.
Right,
the Simmons litigation,
right.
isn't it? But I will say, I mean, every month you guys get that financial report and it shows the unrestricted fund balance. Even taking out that, it breaks it down. So just, if you're ever questioning about how much money we have just on hand to make payroll, monthly as, expenses and revenues ebb and flow, that's what the report shows, so.
All right, I'm fine.
So, but I think the question is, Kevin, what was the question that you had, that we're gonna be both?
It's not about being broke, we're not a manufacturer, we don't manufacture anything, we run from a fund that we're gonna drain it, then once we drain it, then where we gonna go? We're
Sam,
not making concessions on nothing, I mean, it's like, you get a little bit of extra money from the insurance, and you throw it into a whole nother project instead of trying to save it. Period.
Can I respond?
Sure.
Floor's
Go ahead.
open.
Yeah, I don't see it quite that way. I see that the savings kept us from having a bigger deficit than we already would have had. Any of the cost saving stuff, I mean, the biggest things that have happened to this budget in the last couple of years were the buying of that, well, however long, the buying of that building, and, the sales, the cell tower money that got wrapped up into that, and the lawsuits. So if you look at those two things, and we have a plan to mitigate loss and to tighten the budget, which I think, this budget looks a lot healthier than last year's budget does. And so when you're in a hole like that, when you're in a deficit like that, it takes a few years. You're not gonna get rid of that overnight. You're gonna be able, yeah, it'd be great to be able to do all the projects we want, but I don't see that this comes with a whole lot of extra, pork in the barrel here.
and one thing I will say, this is my third and a half year, 3.5 years being on the city council. At the beginning of that term, we didn't even know if we were gonna keep the lights on because our reserve was so low. And I think over time, we have done a really good job of making sure that we're saving for these projects. And these projects are not coming out of the general fund, they're coming out of restricted funds, and we're doing a really good job of making sure that we save money so that we can have these projects. And what you wanna do in a budget is make sure that your level of service represents what your constituents are looking to see. And when they talk about that, they talk about the police, they talk about potholes, they talk about speed humps, they talk about having a receptionist, they talk about all those things. And I think we've done a good job with Sam's help of saving over time so that we can accommodate those things that we need. We are well better off than we were at the beginning, and we're certainly well better off than, a lot of other communities that are around us. And I think that us making sure that that we're actually using our funds in the correct way, and we're not spending it, and we're not having lawsuits, and we have a pay plan, and that we're hiring people that are actual professionals and everything, and means that we're putting things, we're going in the right direction. And like Councilwoman Valle said, those lawsuits hurt us. That building over there hurt us. We have to spend $45,000 for council fees that we didn't have to spend before. The money that was the deficit came from a promise that we made to Glen Echo to use their funds, and also something that the employees of Normandy they should not have to pay to take on the backs of this health insurance cost when we had money and then it went out the window just for frivolous things. And so I think we're doing a good job. We are not going to be bankrupt. We are not spending money frivolously. I think we have really thought this through. But if there is an amendment or something in here where you think this project can wait till later, certainly put that on the table.
Well, okay, percentage-wise, when you look at every department, are we operating within the percentage that we should be? I mean, we've been going over it, Charles, every week, every month, Charles go over where we should be at, and we've been red, and we've done nothing about it. Are we over balanced in any of the departments that we have? That's the bottom line.
Police department.
I'm just saying, any department, I want our administrators to tell us, are we over balanced? You don't have to say it, because when it all comes down to it, as soon as we speak on one thing or another, it's, oh, they don't want this, or they don't want public works, or so forth and so on. So I want us to listen to Charles and what he's talking about as far as the percentages, and are we operating within the percentages that we should be?
Can you explain, I think he's specifically talking about like when he talks about these departments are spending over.
Yeah, so you're talking about basically not so much creating the budget, but administering the budget, and the monthly financial reports that you get. At the last meeting, I believe, I got it right here, I think, was it every department was under budget? Yeah, all the departments came under budget from expenses. Now, part of that had to do with the budget amendment, but also it's what I say at the beginning of every budget year when we have all of our insurance bills due. Yeah, we're gonna be over budget at the beginning of the year, if you look at a month-to-month basis, because we have a bunch of upfront costs. But then as time goes on, things balance out and you hit the budget, right? So, yeah, at the last meeting, which was the August financials, everyone was under budget for fiscal year 2024.
Did we have a balanced budget at the end of last year?
Fiscal year 2024 budget is not balanced.
Okay.
There's a deficit.
Deficit of how much?
I believe the budgeted deficit is $150,000.
No.
And so, like you said earlier, you mentioned, what are we doing with the insurance savings? We're not running a deficit again. That's kind of the answer.
We're going to the new year, 150,000 now.
Well,
We're not the government. We just can't keep on going down the line having deficits. And then we had to pass an amendment, so we wasn't operating within the budget, but we still 150,000.
What percentage of the total overall budget is that 150,000? How much? What percentage?
Hold on, I'll give you some quick math.
Can I say something?
Yeah, it's about 3%.
So 3% of our entire budget, what's the entire budget?
Well, this proposed budget is $4.3 million for general fund.
Go ahead, Tony.
So, as far as percentages, for each department, what type of percentage as far as the total percentage that it makes up out the budget? As far as like Public Works, City Hall, Police Department, what percentages of the budget?
I wish I had my laptop with you, or with.
Well,
me
Charles
before I
told
was,
us, he already told us.
We've been red all year.
That's what he
That's
was
not
getting
true.
around.
He had not been in the red all year. He just told you that at the last.
So you're asking.
It was
there's
150,000
two different questions
under
here.
the
So-
hole, so we
so-
should be balanced.
So,
Zero.
if Public Works accounts for 35% of the budget,
Right,
City Hall accounts for 30%, Police Department accounts for how much
so,
of the total budget?
yeah, one moment, you'll have to wait, and I can get that for you.
Mhm.
That would be 35.
No, I was just throwing numbers out.
Okay, gotcha.
Right, so again, the thing is you have to keep in mind is the contracts as well, because it really skews things. Because we contract for 10,000 people, our police department provides service for 10,000 people, right? So, it's just something to keep in mind. So without accounting for contracts, it's 65% of our budget. And if you bear with me, I can get you. if
You wanna go get
were
your
to
laptop?
adjust.
You wanna get your laptop?
I think it's at home.
Oh, really?
Sorry.
And see, what you guys, because Charles mentioned that we should be at 57, no more than 57%.
Okay, so what we're talking
Yeah.
about when we're talking about those kinds of percentages is that when you look at any budget and you project over 12 months, so that if you've got $100 at the beginning of the year and you spend, $10 every month out of that budget, you're gonna go down, by that percentage every month. I'll make that easy with those numbers. But what happens is bills don't all come in at the same time. So one time you may, you get a big sale on whatever, printer paper, whatever, and you know that you could buy that money because you've got it in your overall budget, but the percentage for that month is gonna be higher because you were able to get a deal on this. So it's not that the bills aren't getting paid. It's just a matter of time of year, the number of months in the year, the amount of money so far spent. And so when we're talking about percentages, it's like, okay, we would like to be able to get to the number of months that would be divided by the amount of money that we've got in there and have exactly the same money every month, but it's never gonna happen like that. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Right, the percentages, I'm hearing questions about percentages of how we do throughout the budget year, and then percentages of how much is this department of the total general
That's two
fund.
different.
Yeah, that's what I,
So that's what you're asking about. Accounting for the police contracts, this year, the police department is 50% of the budget. And I will say, also to keep in mind with that, our increased insurance cost for liability insurance, and workers' comp insurance, that hits that department greater because they have the much larger payroll. And that's not where the claims came from. But they're the ones that are paying for it. So just kind of something to keep in mind with that. That's not where we had most of the work accidents that led to the higher work comp side of things. It's definitely not where we had the liability lawsuits that led to the higher liability premium. So,
How much money do contracts bring in every year?
for the police department, $1.2 million.
$1.2 million they bring in. So that will pay for a certain amount of that overall budget that we see. So without those contracts, we would, I mean, they are revenue generating. So what percentage of the police budget is paid by the contracts?
42%.
Okay, all right.
So you're saying 42% is paid by the contracts?
Of the police department budget, yeah.
Can I read something real quick? Sure. Just look at Charles' last note. Would that be okay to read?
Yeah, go ahead.
It said conversely, the percentage of budget remaining for expenditures for the, at fiscal year, I'm sorry, my eyes. Year end should be above 16.7%, which would indicate the amount of actual expenditures was either the same or less than budget amount of expenditures. Fortunately, the city did spend less than it has budgeted for year to date by just over $18K, or 0.4% of the total budget amount. However, it must be noted that the fiscal year budget is not balanced, with excess of almost $230K more in expenditure than revenue. So, does that help or does it help?
Yeah, so we have made the amendment
So what
for
about
100,000. What was the amendment, 100,000 added to the budget last year?
So is that last month's?
This was last month.
200, it said 230,000?
It should be,
There's two
So
So
separate
what it
sections.
was, 150,000?
yeah, 150,000 is the deficit.
Because, you know.
He said
then we
where-
got
No,
the
you're fine. No,
budget-
it's okay.
then
I
we
see,
got limit on
did I read it wrong?
100,000.
Of what section are you referring to though? Because
Oh.
there's expenditures, there's revenues.
I'm at the bottom.
Yeah, the comments at the bottom.
Did I read it wrong?
So, excuse me, please.
Yeah, I have, however, it must be noted, the fiscal year budget is not balanced with an excess of almost 150K more in expenditures and revenue.
Oh, you know what,
This
this
is
was
August.
easy, this, you must get, okay, a better, another one, right? This is 230.
Is that the right month?
But that, before the amendment,
I
that might have been before the amendment.
Oh, he amended it.
No, we did.
What's the date?
Okay, wait, hold on.
Budget? Remember they voted amendment on the budget?
No, okay, I'm sorry.
We didn't have an amendment.
This was September 10, 2024.
Last meeting.
So-
They
No,
might have changed.
Oh,
no,
I'm
that's
saying
twenty
last
twenty-three,
year.
that's
Last year.
last year.
This
Last
is,
year.
I'm talking about the date of this, of this.
No, I think I see what you're talking about. He's talking about, the revenue, so he's talking about the deficit to date, which is 235 versus 275. So the deficit to date is 40K. I think that's what you're talking about. But, yeah, the report I'm reading is,
At the bottom.
and
it could have been different.
regardless of report, I can tell you the budget amendment was $150,000
Okay.
deficit. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just reading.
thank you.
The budget amendment was 150,000,
Right, and
and we still 150,000 going under
At the top.
through the next year, through this year's
no,
budget? Okay.
no, this is a balance.
So that 150,000 was it, we was 150,000 over budget, we passed the amendment to wipe that clean.
Can I ask a question about?
Just asking,
Wait, let him finish.
I'm just asking, so we, was 150,000, no, and so we passed the amendment. So right now, as of last year's budget, was zero. I'm asking.
I'm not sure what you're
Was we at zero at the end of the year, after we did the amendment?
asking. Are you
Our
talking
last
about,
year's budget,
Wait,
are you talking about October?
fiscal year
the
2024.
fiscal year of last
So,
year,
that's
that
what
we
we-
had the
Hold on,
amendment.
fiscal year 2024, we are on budget, but per the budget, the fund balance decrease is going to decrease by up to $150,000. It actually may not be as bad as that. We'll see once the September financials get finalized. But, yes, does that answer your question?
Right now, 150,000 unbalanced.
And the year before that, we had a increase of 430,000.
you had an increase
A
of.
surplus.
A surplus. Okay, so everybody's concerned about our having a deficit when we had a surplus before, but part of that surplus was ARPA money. Am I?
Well, part of the
right?
surplus was the plant
Okay,
and
Okay.
the, what was the other thing that we got the surplus from?
I mean, all the ARPA money was allocated to projects and spent.
got it. It has to be.
But the
Yes.
USDA plant gave us a bond.
USDA building permit contributed to that, as well as the bond issuance fee that we negotiated.
But within this fiscal budget, since October 1st of last year to today, how many lawsuits did we have that we settled?
I'm sorry,
How
many
many
lawsuits?
lawsuits did we have that we settled?
in what time frame?
Between in fiscal '24.
Yeah, I would have to look that up. Honestly, they don't hit you for a couple of years. This is kind of how it works. Usually there's about a 2 year before they stick it to you.
Okay,
So-
so what changed was the insurance premiums.
Yes,
Okay. As a result of the lawsuit, the insurance premiums went up, wiping out the surplus and giving us a deficit.
yeah, fiscal year 2024, the insurance premiums went way up, like $400,000 up. At the same time, we weren't benefiting from some of the one-time revenues like the USDA
Right.
and as well as some ARPA support. And so that's why we had the deficit. And with the insurance going back down, we're starting to balance out. It's still tight. We're not able to do everything that we want to do in terms of staffing, but it's a balanced budget. When insurance premiums go down, when we have another good year, gonna manifest that, right? Then we'll have more money to actually increase the level of service, or save, if that's what the council wants to do.
Anything else?
In terms of saving, I understand that we like to have a nice fund balance, and we still do have a fund balance. But a city budget, a municipal budget is to provide services. And the basic things that people want are clean streets, safety in their own homes, nice looking neighborhood, and you gotta spend money to do those things. And I don't see anything in this budget here that looks like fluff.
Yeah, and I'll say, just very brief, I know we're kind of going into the weeds, but a lot of cities have a fund balance reserve policy for general fund of 3 months of operating expenditures. We have that right now. However, we actually have more than that, because we have about a $4 million budget, and we have well over $1 million in fund reserve. So we need that. So if we're saving anything above that, we need to be saving it for a specific purpose. Unless you guys just want more reserve, it's whatever level of risk you guys want. But, yeah.
Any other amendments, comments, questions? Let's just do struggle. Steve, what do you
Yeah,
think?
get it over with.
Steve?
Are we voting?
No, not yet. I'm just doing the straw poll.
I understand what Kevin's saying, although I hear what Vicky's saying also. We're here for services, and it is balanced. So I don't have any questions, now that we took the AI out.
I don't have anything. Kevin?
At this point, I just can't, I mean, we're still playing with numbers, did an amendment, and we're still $150,000,
Is it 150,000, that this year?
No.
That's
That's not fiscal year 24.
so that's last year.
That's fiscal year 24.
So that $150,000, are we carrying it over?
No. I don't know what you mean by carrying it over.
So,
There's not a deficit this year.
no, I'm
So
just
we
trying
were
to,
zero.
trying to- no, I'm just trying to
Where we at zero?
see where Kevin's at.
Where we
So
at
you're
zero?
thinking, so the $150,000 from last year, you wanna know where is that?
We waiting on September's income to come in, right?
Are you thinking that we owe somebody $150,000?
No, I'm thinking that we just, is not at zero after the fiscal year twenty-four.
What is the it in the sentence?
What you mean, it?
You said it's not. What's the it?
No, I said we're not, $150,000 is still a deficit.
We don't have a deficit.
Are we at zero?
Is the
At
budget,
the-
are you
At the
asking,
end of the year, fiscal year twenty-four, are we at zero?
are you asking if the budget is
Uh,
wrong?
How many times, are we at zero after fiscal year twenty-four? That's all I'm asking.
Yeah, we're at zero. We're at zero.
Well, are we?
Yes, we are.
We were just saying we wasn't.
I don't know what the, I'm trying to understand.
Okay, well, we
what
can
the-
just vote.
What the
Let's just
it
vote.
is in this, I still don't
No, I
understand.
mean, yeah, I'm understanding, cause,
I think you're talking about fiscal year 24 and you're talking about fiscal year 25.
24 is done. Are you asking, this is what I'm trying,
we
are
did
you,
an amendment, and we still was 150,000 over.
are you asking if we still owe $150,000 on last year's budget? Is that what you're asking?
We just went over it. It's not a zero. If you tell me it's at zero. Tell me at
This budget,
2024,
this budget,
2024's budget is at zero. That's what you need to tell me.
Yeah, that's-
this budget is balanced. I'm telling you
You
that.
said 25.
This
Okay, let's
budget-
vote. Let's
this
vote. Let's
budget
vote.
is
Let's vote.
balanced.
Let's vote.
This budget is balanced.
Let's
Can I
vote.
have
25
that?
is
This
balanced.
budget is balanced.
25 is balanced.
Okay.
Let's vote.
Everybody has
Tony.
a
Let's vote.
chance to
I'm-
do what
we
they
can go.
got.
Let's
All
do it.
right,
Let's
so,
do it.
again,
Let's go.
when stuff happened in fiscal 2024 that had not been anticipated. You had lawsuits, you had, all the overage comes
Yeah, we
from.
went over that already.
Yeah, let's
Okay,
vote.
so, don't cut me off, I didn't
Oh,
No,
cut
I'm
you
just
off.
saying, we went over,
I didn't
I'm
cut you
sorry, I
off.
apologize.
All right. Going forward, it's like anybody runs their own household, you know, a tree falls on your house, you're gonna have to get that fixed, and you did not anticipate that. So there are always going to be needs for budget amendments as things happen that are not predictable. That's why you have the reserves, so that if that stuff happens, the city doesn't have to turn the lights off. So going forward with a balanced budget is the very best that we can do, because we can't fix what happened last year. Now. That's all I have to say.
Alright, I make a motion to approve resolution 24-49
As amended.
as amended. Can I get a
Second.
second? Roll call vote. I know it doesn't need to be. Roll call vote.
Sorry. Councilman Sachsenheimer?
Yes.
Councilwoman Cleveland?
Yes.
Councilman Jackson?
No.
Councilman Evans?
No,
Councilwoman Vega?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry, and Councilwoman Campbell?
Yes.
You guys have it?
No.
No, we need 5.
Oh, you need 5? Okay.
So Friday will be another meeting.
Can, before we walk out of here, can we figure out exactly what the problem is?
Can we, since this isn't an ordinance, can we do another vote on this resolution tonight?
Tonight?
Yeah. Since it's not an ordinance?
Well, I don't know, Andy's not here tonight.
I don't think it would be appropriate to do
Right.
it unless there was a change
Yeah,
in a
it's
It's not gonna be a
specific.
change?
No, hold on a second.
Okay, fine.
Thank you. Okay, so say if someone were to make a motion to amend something, and then we can bring the item back, and it could be back on the table, right?
So it
Because
could-
we can't
so-
keep voting and voting on the same item, right?
Okay,
Okay, so
so
can I-
it would have to be a change.
Yeah,
and
can I
then-
propose a change?
Okay.
Because we already voted to eliminate the AI, it should change the projected bottom line for this budget. Am I right or am I wrong?
Not the general fund.
Yeah, not the general. Sorry.
Because that's capital
That's
improvement.
capital, yeah, capital improvement.
So, again, I'm in question mode now. So, right now, the budget that we have in front of us, the general fund is balanced, we project it to balance, that this year, this is a general fund balance is gonna not have a deficit. Am I right or am I wrong?
That's correct.
Okay, so again, we can't fix what happened last year. We can only fix what's in front of us for this year, which is this budget on this day. And I'm frankly tired of coming into meetings where we have,
Excuse me.
you know, no resolution on stuff that we can't change. We can't change 24. It is what it is. 25 is what we're looking at now. And if people aren't satisfied with the answers that they get and get upset about philosophy of budget, then that's a whole different kind of conversation.
It's all about numbers.
Well,
Numbers don't lie. Numbers
There's
don't lie.
more than one kind of budget. There's zero-based balance budgeting, and then there's a different kind, this accounting-based one that we have. Zero-based budget is like if I go into my fiscal year knowing that I've got $23 million in financial aid available to the students at my university. I can't go over that because that's all I'm gonna get, okay? So that $23 million, I gotta get down to the penny and have it all spent efficiently, but with no overages. However, if my institution has been doing things that were illegal and eliminating the courses for some students that have been there, who have enrolled and dropped the whole semester, and we gotta go back to the feds and give them their money back, there we're gonna have a deficit. We are not in that kind of a situation. We're zero projection of overage in the general fund for 25.
so if we look at page, what's the first page? Look at page, if we look at page 8, with the revenues for the general fund. Sam, can you explain line 10-400?
Yeah, 10-400, that's our real estate tax collected by the St. Louis County Collector at the tax rates that we set out in September. And we know how much we're gonna come in. It's gonna come in based off of what the state auditor tells us that we can tax. It's a real estate tax, so it's extremely predictable, and that's where that number came from. Is that what you're looking for?
So this, basically, this line is, what do you call it? I don't wanna say static.
Stable,
Is what?
stable, like that.
It's concrete, right? Okay, what about 401?
Same thing, that's personal property tax, that's what people pay on their cars. That varies a little more, but it's still, you know, pretty stable. Based off of people's assessed values of their car, we assess $4 per $100 of assessed value.
And then what about 414?
For 14, that is a tax collected on all utility poles and railroads in the city of Normandy. It's taxed at the commercial tax rate. And so, also, actually even more stable than the other two.
So that property tax grouping is concrete,
Yes.
it does not change. What about the utility taxes?
Yeah, utility taxes is an 8% gross receipt tax that we tax on all utilities. Fairly predictable, however, it can vary with the weather. Last year in 2024, we had an extremely warm winter, So we came in way under budget on projected gas revenues. If we have a cold winter, then we'll actually, have more. Same thing with electricity based on summer months. Water, telephone, and cable are more stable.
What about sales tax?
Sales tax, so that's part of the pool. We get based off of our population. Each year, it varies, it theoretically goes up with inflation. And, we track these things quarter to quarter, going year to year, so we have a pretty good idea of what it's gonna come in at. However, if there's an economic downturn, people spend less money, then we would get less tax revenue.
So that's based off of this is sales in Normandy?
So the 1% general is a pool tax, so as long as the city's a pool city, then we would receive money.
What about other tax?
Prop P is also a pool tax. It's not a 1% tax. It must be used for public safety purposes, but collected the exact same way, fluctuates the exact same way as the other pool tax.
What about cigarette and motor vehicle?
Cigarettes is a flat tax that we get based off of population for all cigarette sales in Missouri. And motor vehicle sales tax, the sales tax that's collected on people's gas given out through population throughout Missouri, has to be used for roads and, basically roads.
Licenses?
Merchants and manufacturers, that's the business license tax that we collect. Liquor license, that's pretty self-explanatory. Other is dog tax.
Did you say dog?
Yeah. $6.
Permits?
Yeah, permits is based off of the estimated cost of construction, so this has fluctuated recently, because if we have a lot of construction, then we have a lot of building permit fees. And we have had quite a few projects. It's budgeted to be quite a bit less than last year, because the USDA project is done. Although, we've seen some renovations come in, so, it's $3 per $1,000 of the estimated construction cost.
And then fines and courts?
Yeah, that's what is collected on court cases.
Why, okay, so, and then police training?
Yeah, I think it's $2 for every court case processed. It has to be used for police training. So, it also comes from the court.
And then after that, changes of charge of services.
That's our contract revenue. For
Page
police,
9. Okay.
for police and court
It's not
services.
numbered.
And then, can you go over other?
Yeah, other, we've got nuisance abatement, that's when we cut someone's grass, remove a tree, anything that we go in and actually do it, we bill them. If they don't pay us, we do a special tax bill. Whenever it eventually gets paid, then it comes in as nuisance abatement revenue. Investment income, that's pretty self-explanatory. That's basically just what's in our savings account. Whatever our saving accounts yield. Miscellaneous income police, that's tow releases and police report fees. Miscellaneous office, I think right now we're renting the thing across the street, and that's the parking lot across the street for USDA at $1,500 a month.
Oh, okay.
That's why that's so high. Other than that, that's just kind of miscellaneous things that come in. Same thing with court. And then you've got your drug asset forfeitures money. We have an officer, anytime our officer seizes drugs, basically the federal government pays us a portion of the money of the cash seized. DA reimbursement for officer we have an officer who's detached to the DEA. Whenever he works overtime, they pay us for that overtime. And then grant funds, that is, for our trees. That's the tree grant from NBC.
So these are our revenues for the general fund, those 2 pages. True,
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
the expenditures, can you go to the next page? So for salaries on line, 10-501, can you tell us what salaries those refer to?
That would be my salary, Kiana's salary, and then a part-time, clerk. Who's not hired yet.
So if we wanted to, we could amend it to eliminate that.
Yes, that is something that we could amend.
Payroll taxes,
Payroll taxes on the salaries, it's, the employer's portion of Social Security and Medicare.
elected official taxes,
Yeah,
or payroll,
that's what you guys make.
and then the taxes that you pay for the rest.
Keep
Yeah.
going through all of it, we still gonna say.
Then health insurance.
Health insurance, that would be,
So are we amending something, or we
No,
just?
I just,
Going down the
no,
list.
I just think we need to just go down the
We,
list.
we've
and I just
been
think
down on
we
this,
find-
I've been through this, I've
Health
seen all
insurance.
this, I've seen
Thank
all
you.
that, we don't
Health
need to go through
insurance.
all that. Ain't gonna change anything, we just voted.
Thank
that would,
you.
that would be
Health
health insurance for me and Kiana
What are we here for?
and our dependents.
We're here for this,
We voted,
but we're here for this.
But
and
we
understand-
voted.
But we're not done.
we're not getting ready to vote
But we're
again.
not done.
We have to
Didn't-
vote
didn't they
again
just say
at
we
some
just
point.
wanna
We are not done.
Okay, keep on, let's go.
We owe it to our constituents to do our due diligence.
That's right.
And in the past 8 weeks that we've been going over this, and actually in the past 2 weeks, wait, when did we have our last meeting? Friday?
Yeah.
We had our last meeting on Friday.
Mhm.
I asked Sam, Saturday, did somebody call you? No. Sunday, did somebody call you? No. Monday, did somebody call you? No. Tuesday, did somebody call you? No.
Okay.
So if we're gonna talk about what we're supposed to be doing for the people that live in Normandy, this is what we're supposed to be doing. Now, I'm not telling you, I'm not telling you.
Stop.
that we haven't-
Please
No,
stop
I'm
raising
not,
your
I'm
voice
not
over
telling
me.
you that
Come on,
we've
guys.
been doing
What is
it.
this?
No, I'm not
You
telling
know,
you
you're
that this is
screaming
something.
at
I'm not
people
screaming at anybody.
Because they're not agreeing with you.
You don't have to agree with
But
me.
you can't raise your voice.
You do not have to
You're
agree with
raising
me.
your voice.
You have raised your voice also, so let's
Okay.
not go there.
Okay.
I am not gonna go there with you and say that you have been speaking at this tone the entire time.
Well, I'm done. Are we gonna vote
And
again?
everything. No, but I feel like we
Are we
need to do
gonna
our
vote
due
again?
diligence when it comes to this
Well,
vote.
go.
We have
We're
to
not
set
changing
another
it.
meeting.
We
I'm
have
not-
to
We're
set
not
another
changing it.
meeting.
We said Friday, let's do it. Friday.
Yeah,
What
let's
time
do
on
it.
Friday?
Friday.
I haven't postponed the meeting.
Okay. Well, I mean, what you gonna do? Go down
I haven't
this list or we
postponed
gonna
the
leave?
meeting.
We done with, this is
I
special session.
haven't asked for a motion of the
Okay,
I'll
let's
make
do
a
it.
motion.
I'll make a motion, a second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yeah.
Any opposed?
Aye.
No. You still haven't set the meeting for the next one.
You said Friday, 5:30, let's do that. That's cool.
I don't think they know what they want. Meeting adjourned. I don't think they know what they want. I don't think they know what they want.
Can we turn on,